the Cape Cod Fighting Alliance, he is the beast from Hollywood East, Michael the Hammer Mulligan.
Hey folks, Michael the Hammer Mulligan here with Michael Polvere, Cage Titans extraordinaire.
I don't know about that.
Well, I do. He's probably one of the best promoters around as far as the shows. The shows are phenomenal. They run smooth. They run fast. There's no gimmicks. There's no, I mean, the only thing that slows it down, which isn't even a slowdown, it's a break, is a charity thing. You always, helping somebody or something. So that's phenomenal. You can't, beat that.
Yeah, one thing that we've always tried to do is try to be involved with the community and, always try to give back to some sort of cause and take the opportunity of having 1,200 people in this building.
Sure.
And raising awareness for cause. We've done ALS, we've done breast cancer, we've done pancreatic cancer,
yep.
Travis Roy Foundation, if you name it, we've done it.
You got anything for this one?
I'm not sure what the charity is. I'll have to check with my assistant.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll have it for you.
We'll get back to you on that one.
You'll see it when you're there.
Yeah,
go to the fights and you'll know. It's a secret.
Yeah, it's a secret. I should have said that. It's a secret. We've adopted a family before for Christmas to bring Christmas to them.
Sure.
But we also do our raffle, and then if you get a raffle ticket, you get an exclusive Cage Titans T-shirt that's tied in with that
nice.
charity. So we try to make it a kind of a community affair.
Right. Now, what year are we going on here in Plymouth?
Oof, this is our 5th year.
5th year already, 5th anniversary.
2015, so yeah, 5th year anniversary is going to be our June show. Nice,
that's awesome. So this show is April 11th.
18th.
I'm sorry, I keep saying that. It got switched to the 18th.
Yes.
So April 18th at Memorial Hall in Plymouth. Now, let's get started, baby. What do you got this time?
Man, we got a stacked fight card. I know who you're going to want to talk about, but I'm going to make you wait a little bit. I'm going to start.
That's fine.
I'm going to start right at the top. Our main event.
Yep.
Frank Sforza, our 145-pound champion, is defending his belt against top-ranked Taylor Trahan.
Beautiful.
Frank is actually a police officer nearby. He burst onto the scene about 4 years ago, undefeated amateur, won our amateur title belt,
yep.
went 3-0 as a pro.
Which weight?
145.
145, yep.
Went pro, went 3-0 as a pro, won our pro belt, and then he actually had to take some time off for military obligations.
Nice. That's
and
not a bad thing.
He also went through police academy.
Yep.
So he came back a couple months ago. He was successful in his debut, and here he is back defending this title.
When did he graduate the academy?
He's been an officer maybe a year now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't hold me to that exact time.
No, my son graduated last summer in Plymouth from the Plymouth Academy. He's on Bourne, and I just wonder if
he was in Rockland.
Okay.
So
yep.
So he's back. He's ready to defend his title. He's taking on a very tough Taylor Trahan.
Yep.
He's from Team Link up in New Hampshire. Purple belt. He may be on the cusp of brown belt. Very strong fighter, very strong ground fighter. And what's interesting about this fight is they're both strong ground fighters, but vastly different. Frank's a power wrestler, ground and pound type fighter.
Yep.
Taylor is get the fight to the ground, but more the
smooth
tactician and the smooth jiu-jitsu game.
Right. Yep.
So it's going to be a very interesting matchup. This fight was supposed to happen back in January, but Frank got called in for the reserves.
Now, does Frank still have the title?
Yes, Frank.
All right, good. Yeah, because I know sometimes it gets lengthy and you got to take it just to keep the ball rolling. But that's good that he still got it.
Yeah, what we did is we held on to it, and
because it's for serving the country and then for becoming a country.
Absolutely. And nobody really blew us away in that 45 division where we said, hey, let's set up a title fight to do like an interim title.
To get the bit.
Yeah, so we held it for Frank, and he's back. He's ready. It was supposed to happen in January, and we had a lot of hype around it. Unfortunately, he had to get called in for his weekend, so he couldn't do that fight. But we're back at it, and this show, it's definitely going to happen. It's very exciting for us. And,
beautiful.
That's our main event. Our co-main event is another huge fight. Our #1 ranked 125 in all of New England, Ramo Cardarelli.
Yep.
He's going to be taking on #4 ranked Andy Aiello from Luzon MMA.
Beautiful.
Cardarelli, if you follow Cage Titans, he's been with us his entire career.
Every show, baby.
Pretty much every show.
Every show.
And he's climbed to the very top of the professional ranks. He's ranked #1 in New England. He's fought pretty much everybody else in the rankings except for Andy Aiello. So
time.
let's make a fight.
That's
and
it.
the rankings made the fight. Andy's as tough as they come. Interesting thing, not to pick on either one of these guys, but Andy's been fighting forever. Andy's been fighting, I think his first fight was over 10 years ago.
Wow.
And just to kind of put it in perspective, when Andy started fighting, 10 years ago, Ramo was probably in 5th grade, 6th grade. So Andy's kind of like the grizzled veteran who's been around the sport for a long time. Ramo's this young, hungry lion trying to make his climb. So it's going to be a very interesting fight, and what more can you ask for? Top-ranked guys fighting each other, not ducking each other, saying, let's give me the best.
In age in this sport, honestly, on this level, age in this sport really doesn't make a difference, because a lot of guys, obviously me and Mike, who didn't start fighting until we were in our 40s, but a lot of guys wait until they're out of school, they're out of college, or out of whatever they get, and then they start in their late 20s, and then you got guys that start training when they're 5, 10, whatever, who come up early in the sport. So you might have a 20-year-old stud with a 35-year-old guy, and the 20-year-old stud's got twice the skill and experience. So you gotta, it's a perspective thing. Yeah,
it's definitely interesting. Once we announced the fight, there's kind of been, one school of thought is like, oh well, the young lion is definitely going to take out the old cat. But the other side of the story, well, hey, he's been around for a long time.
Hey, there's nothing to laugh at experience. If he's been fighting for 10 years, that's 10 years to hone your skill. That's 10 years of mistakes that you now learn how to defend, because that's how you pick it up.
That's how it is. So that's gonna be a very fun fight for us at the top of the card.
Beautiful.
One of our pro debuts, Manny Bermudez.
Oh my God, about time.
Yeah, he's going pro.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He was our amateur champion, and that's kind of a theme through us. You'll see guys who kind of come up through the ranks with us, and we try to keep them and bring them along in their career. Manny Bermudez will be making his professional debut on this card.
Beautiful.
He defended our title 2 or 3 times. He's got great hands. Great jiu-jitsu guy. All his wins are
nice guy.
Yeah,
nice
super nice kid. And all his wins are through submission. So he's ready to make that pro jump, and that's what's going to happen on this card.
Beautiful.
I'm going to go where you want to go now.
You can go wherever you want. I mean, what happened with Barrett? He was supposed to go.
Peter Barrett, one of our other guys who was scheduled to fight, but he had kind of some lingering injuries a couple of weeks ago. He actually had to pull off the card.
That's a hard thing to do. If you know you got to fight, you're training like a dog. You got these little things that are nagging you. To make that call is not an easy thing to do for any fighter.
Yeah,
it's a huge thing.
And it takes some smarts on Pete's end, because sometimes fighters will just be, I got to tough it out, and I got to go anyways. And we alluded to it earlier about the charity thing. He was raising money for a charity. And that's why I'm trying to see if we're going to still do that, or we're going to hold off to his next fight. But either way, so he kind of had a lot of things in place for this fight, and it was very important to him, because one of the same injuries held him off the January card.
Sure.
And
he's still young. He's take the time to heal, and you'll what's the old fucking run today and fight again tomorrow?
Live to fight another day.
Don't hurt yourself so bad you can't come back.
Yeah, so he had to make a difficult decision, but it shows us smart and intelligent as a fighter to be able to step back and say, my long-term health and career is more important than this actual one incident and this one fight. So he's going to hold on.
That's maturity.
Yeah, maturity, and it's great. And it's funny, because if you see him at the fights, and his hairstyle and his kind of in-your-face persona, not many people would think that about him. But you can't judge a book by its cover.
No, he's a smart kid. You look at his ears, you're like,
Yeah, exactly. But so I guess I would segue into our amateur ranks. We've always talked about that here. We're very, very prideful in crowning amateur champions, having the best of the best locally, not being about who can sell tickets. It's about who's the best in the area.
Who deserves it.
And not because he's sitting in this chair, but it's going to go right to Shane Mulligan, taking on Pat McCrone for a 185-pound title.
Nice fight.
As you know, Shane Mulligan's, this is his dad. But I will say, these guys have been in the ranks for a little while, and Pat, I think, is ranked 1. Shane's number 2, somewhere in that area.
Number 3, I think. He's third. So it's 2 and 3, I think. So there's somebody else in the first position.
I think he went pro though.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So that's why everybody slid up. So these guys are both stud wrestlers. Pat, Wrestled over at Johnson and Wales.
Yep.
And Shane, Plymouth South.
Yep.
You know, so this fight has kind of been fun because leading up to it, because they've always kind of looked at each other out of the corner of their eye as they were fighting and progressing. Yep. You know, Shane burst onto the scene, came out with 2 really quick wins, and had a couple injuries that kind of put him on the sidelines. And as he was injured, he was watching Pat McCrowan still fighting and getting a couple wins. So it was always a kind of, when we knew Shane was back, this was his fight.
Yeah, it was inevitable.
And Pat kind of knew when he got ready to come back, that's who he was fighting. And, you know, a couple, little help from this guy over here.
It wasn't me. It was Loco. It was Loco.
I think one time Pat won his fight, and you literally, before he was off the 3rd step of the cage, he's running over. We're doing it next. We're doing it next. Me, Shane, and you next. So he was an assistant matchmaker in that.
That was it. Well, you know, and this was the thing. Mike and I talk about this every time we do this show. We talk about how the best guys in this business are not the guys that want to fight down a lay-down fighter. They don't want to get in the cage with somebody that's going to be an easy mark. Yeah. They want to pick somebody that they know is a good fighter, somebody that's got potential, and that's the guy that they want to fight. They don't want, look, he's down number 2, and we were right. When we saw him fight, we both said the same thing, and we said it to Mike, that's a good kid. He's got good skills. Yeah. Because we were talking about who's going to be next, and we wanted to make sure that we got somebody that wasn't just a punching bag. Yeah. We wanted somebody that knew. So Pat was a high school wrestler. He was also a college wrestler, and you know, as Pat will tell you, college wrestlers are a lot better than high school wrestlers. So he's got that above us. So you know, from what he said, and then also, you know, there's the experience in the Muay Thai and the Jiu-Jitsu that Shane has above his wrestling. So as you know, Shane's got his Muay Thai and his wrestling and his Jiu-Jitsu. So I think it's going to be a great fight. You know, it's going to be a banging fight. I think that Pat's going to come out hard, fast. I think he's going to look for the takedown to try and take Shane to the ground. I think that Shane's probably just going to walk around him in circles and not get taken down. But if he does, I'm not, you know, from my eyes, I think he's got a good chance on the ground. I'll leave it humble.
What else do I have to say? He did the job. He hyped the fight up. But either way, you know exactly what he said.
Oh, I'm excited about this. And Pat's a great kid. I met him the first time. I liked the kid. Shaney liked the kid. You know, we went back and forth. We had some fun with it, you know, trying to pump it up and promote it a little bit. So Shane's now a fragile little boy, and Pat's just praying that he makes it to the cage. I think he said that the only way Shane was going to win is if he got in a car accident on the way.
Yeah, that was a good interview. He did an interview on a local
that was awesome. Website. It's funny. It's funny. It pumps it. We do it all the time. I love it. I think it's a great, you know, way to enter this fight.
Yep. So, you know, again, you know, just to reiterate, the best guys going at it, and that's what Cage Titans is about with these amateur titles, and awarding people who want to test themselves and want to make it to the next level. So they're fighting tough guys in the amateur ranks, so they get that experience. Exactly. So when they do go pro, it's not deer in the headlights. Whoa, I've never fought anybody who didn't lay down for me. And that's what this fight's about. It's great, 2 great fighters, good schools. You know,
and Gillette is a good school too. They got some great coaches up there, and that's the other part of it. It wasn't an independent, you know, and not knocking all independents, but if you're independent, get a team. But bottom line is you if you have a good team behind you, you know the guy's going to be there, you know, and he's going to show up with his A game. Bottom line.
So you know, continuing on that trend of the amateur title fights, in the 145-pound division, Mr. Johnny Hendricks, as Mike Mulligan calls him.
I call him Hendricks, man. Yeah.
Jeff Perez, our newly crowned 145-pound amateur champion, who picked up the belt last event. He's going to be defending the title against Mark Cardarelli. And
that's going to be a good fight.
We mentioned his son earlier, so yes, that's correct. Mark is the dad. Yep. I believe 43 years young, 44 years young.
Yeah.
You know, and how this fight kind of came about is really interesting, and it just shows back to what we just talked about, reoccurring theme, like wanting to test themselves. I said to Mark, you know, you're 44 years old. You know, you won your last couple fights. You know, 3-1. What's your goals? Like, what do you really want to do with your next fight? You know, and I had an interesting matchup because I had the kind of guy who was right around the same age, and he just said, "I want the belt."
Right.
No ifs, ands, and buts, no hesitation.
Why not?
He goes, "I want the belt."
Why not?
And I want to fight for the belt, and he knew who had the belt. And he fought on the same card as Jeff last time, and he watched Jeff win the belt and said, "Mike, I want the belt."
And I'll give mad respect to Perez because, number one, I loved that kid. I did an interview at you did a media day at CCFA. I did an interview with him outside. I loved him. I love the way he talks, his passion for the sport. I've been watching all of his fights, and I knew that he was going to win that last fight. I knew it. I said it to Mark Featherstone. He goes, no. I said, first round, he's going to, and sure enough, it was, yeah. So I should have bet him that 100.
Yeah.
So where was? Oh, so anyways, for Perez, this is a really a, I won't say a no-win because if he wins, he keeps his belt. But in the scheme of things, for Cottarelli, it's way up here on the fight scale because he gets a belt. He's 41. He's not looking to go
44.
anywhere. 44. So he's not looking to go to the UFC. He doesn't have time for that. He's not going. This is his pinnacle. So for Perez, this isn't his pinnacle. He's still on the climb. So mad respect for him for taking this fight because a lot of guys would have said, no, I'm not going to get me a guy my age, somebody who's, you know, more. So mad respect to Perez for taking the fight.
And Perez has always been the guy. I'll fight anybody that you put in front of me.
Exactly.
And it's funny you brought that point because Mark has been offered to guys in the past who've kind of given me that, well, you know, I'd rather fight somebody who's kind of on the climb.
Correct.
I don't want to fight. I want to fight a guy my own age. And
I've had it. What do I get out of that? It's a lose-lose for fighting me when I was. Yeah.
But you know, let's not take anything away from Mark's skill. You know, he's the dad of the #1 flyweight in New England. Yeah. He's been training.
Oh, I'm definitely. Well, that's why I'm saying it's a risk to your career because you're doing that.
And Mark's coming off back-to-back submission of the night performances.
Right.
So you know that's going to be a great fight. You know, really excited for it. And what more?
This whole card, I mean, everything that you said so far is just going to be freaking good. Your last fight was the best one I've ever seen. I swear to God, it was. That was the last Cage Titans at Memorial Hall. Every single fight was a barn burner. There was knockouts. There was slams. There was just everything. There was, you know, bonuses for landing on the Beast logo. There was just everything you could imagine, and it flowed. It was like the it's over. Sometimes some of the promotions get a little lengthy, and you're like, oh my God, is it over yet? Can I leave? I got to drive home. But this thing, it just smooth. It was smooth.
Yeah, we really try to keep that in mind. Where we want to keep the flow going. We don't want long breaks in between. Like we have, like our DJ, everybody who's set up knows the minute that fight's over and the last fighter hits the step, hit the music for the next fight.
Right. But you cannot plan what happened last time with those fights.
Yeah, so
that was just amazing.
I mean, from Chip and Ralph.
Oh my God, the helicopter I named him.
And then took him down to the ground and got the submission.
Who thought that Chip was going to get a submission?
Yeah, we had, I think we had 3 title fights and 2 changed hands.
Yeah.
You know, which you don't see often, all the titles changing hands. Except for the last UFC, both titles changed.
Unbelievable,
hands. But,
huh?
you know, so we have a great card. And then even going down onto the undercard, you know, in building these ranks in these amateur titles, we got a bunch of #1 contender fights. We have Devin Carrier, who I like to call Mr. Fight of the Night. He's all 3 of his fights. He's won Fight of the Night.
Yep.
He's taking on Jacob Weeks from SBG East Nexus.
Yep.
He's a teammate.
So this is because they don't have too many fighters. I mean, Perez is obviously, but they really don't. So that's nice to see that they're producing some more.
And Weeks is 2-1, and you know he's kind of on the rise. So this is going to kind of be like a title contender fight. Where the next one will probably take a step up. You know, Sean Newell, who's undefeated, he's also in a #1 contender fight. So we're also trying to build from behind. So it's not all about, hey, here's the amateur titles, here's all the pro fights. Here's the stars trying to get positioned to maybe fight on that later in the year.
Yeah, and that's the good thing too with you. It's not like random guys that you pick out of the snow and they show up and then you got to do the same thing next time. Keep searching. I mean, you cultivate the crop. It's almost like you're the Red Sox with the farm team down below, and you cultivate and you're bringing these guys up, and you're so nice and generous, and you take care of the fighters so that they always want to come back. You don't have to worry about them straying to it. Look, everybody's going to go to another one if they want to fight more. But they're always going to come back as well. They might come back with another, but you kind of got it arranged that your shows are so close together that they can, you know, make them all.
Yeah, what we really try to do, and it's funny because 2 years ago, I want to say, where we position ourselves as Cage Titans, where people would say, Mike, I'd fight for only you if I could, if you had more shows. So then we dabbled with doing back-to-back shows, like 1 or 2 a month, and it really kind of wasn't the direction we wanted to go because it was a little difficult to sustain that. And when there's one next week or next month, You know what?
I'll just go to that
I'll go to that
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
And it was,
yeah.
oh, I'll go to that one. So
Or the fighters too. My knees a little.
Yeah, so it was more the fighters, you know,
Right.
where I'm taking a card where I have 25 fights, and it's like, oh, I'll split them up into 2 and do 12 and 12. Well, the 12 fights end up, oh, I'm going to the next one, and it just it wasn't the growth direction. So what we did the last 2 years is our growth direction is we do 5 events a year. We have them planned out at the beginning of the year. We take the calendar. The last week of January is always our first show of the year. 10 weeks. Boom. April 18th. 10 weeks. June 20th. 10 weeks. August 23rd. 10 weeks. I think it's November 10th. That's our schedule for the year. So if you want to stay active and you want to continue to fight, and you know we're having events, we don't cancel, we don't do any of that stuff. We say you're fighting, you're going to fight.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's how we're able to back.
And plus, it gives you plenty of time to understand that, okay, that guy got hurt last time. You can pick. You know that you got your crop, so you can pick the guys that you want.
Yeah, and absolutely. And it also puts us in the position now, like where we're talking about April or, for instance, January. When we were in January and we were talking about April,
exactly.
We already knew that Pat was going to fight Shane.
Right.
We already knew that on the undercard, if Mark Cottarelli won his fight, that he would probably be next in line to take a shot at that 45 title. We know on this card in April that if Devin Carrier or Jacob Weeks wins, they're probably next in line for that title shot.
Yep.
Or, you know, Sean Newell ends up winning his fight. He's going to probably be next in line for that 170 title. Yep. So that we are always kind of like bringing up. And then we have a bunch of 0-0 guys that are just getting their feet wet. And they're going to be first timers, and we might pick the next diamond in the rough there too. So
and all the schools respect you as a promoter. They know that they're going to get what you say they're going to get.
Yeah,
Bottom line, there's never been, you know, I mean, some promotions have gone out of business. Some promotions have you know, just caused scenes. You know, there's always issues in some of them with the fighters and the management and money and this, that, and the other thing. And there's never ever been a peep of any of that. Everything's been straightforward and perfect. So from a father, manager, you know, lover of the sport, I love it. You know, it's an easy take.
Yeah, and you know, you were a fighter too first, and I was a fighter well beyond before Cage Titans, and that's when we started Cage Titans. It was purely based off the fact, if I'm a fighter, what would I want in a promotion?
Exactly.
And I always do my best to think what the fighter would want whenever disputes arise, matchups arise. You know, whatever you want to say.
Same as building a house. It's all about the customer.
Yeah, it's what would they want.
Right,
and I've been in their shoes before. And it's as simple as me going up to the DJ and he's saying, hey, Mike, this guy requested a song. I don't have it. And I look him in the eyes and I go, well, you better find a way to go get that song. Eh, what's the big deal? It's only a song. Trust me. Go find him that song. You know, I don't care what you got to do.
He's been training to that
song.
song.
I was like, you know, because I know what it was like when I remember one of my fights. I was in the locker room and I heard somebody come out to my song twice.
Yep.
And I went out there and I said, I'm not coming out to that song. And the DJ was like, oh, well, what do you mean? You already gave me that song. I said, I'm not coming out to that song. I was like, I've been training for 10 weeks for this. I'm not coming out to a song.
What's the guy fighting after me coming out to? I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems so small, but even something that like as easy as that, you know, their fight song, like that's what is important.
And the scary part about it is we're talking about this, but think about the fighter's head. Thinking about that this is the issue that he's keying on before he gets in the game.
So I want
some stupid little thing can trip you.
But as a fighter, as you're backstage, and then all of a sudden you're about to walk out and you hear the wrong song, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not my song. I've seen this happen in other shows.
Yeah.
And I remember I was at one show and the kid refused to come out, and there's people running back. They're like, why isn't he coming out? And you know, it might sound, you know, petty from the outside, being like, oh, well, what's the big deal about your music? But as a fighter, when you're trying to get in the zone, you're in front of 1,000+ people. You know, something that little can just set off the chemistry wrong.
So you got adrenaline, you got fear, you got anger, you got all these emotions going on, and then somebody messes your song up, your jam.
Yeah. and it's funny because I remember I've had this conversation with our DJ. It's like, that's not a big deal. I'm like, well, listen, it is a big deal.
This is all he's thinking about right now. That's the only thing is that, you know, if this goes right, if that goes wrong, it sets up a whole, you know,
the butterfly effect. Yeah.
All right, what else we got? Let's wrap this
thing
up.
You know, we're pretty excited for this card. You know, it's our 23rd event, and it's our second of the year. We're coming off a sold-out show in January, so we're hoping to keep that flow going. You know, we've had a really crappy winter. You know, we're in April. The springtime's going to be upon us. We're going to have a beautiful waterfront down in Plymouth. So, you know, come out, come visit the shops.
Dude, if you're shack wacky, you need to get out of the house, this is the place to be.
This is the place to be.
I'm going next weekend. They got at April 4th at Memorial Hall. And I love Memorial Hall because it's the best place to see anything. There's not a bad place in the house. But I'm going to the fire department is having a charity show. So they got 3 comedians in there.
Oh, nice.
So it's going to be nice. I donated for the book and all that stuff. So they gave me some tickets. So I'm going to take my girl and go. But honestly, if you're shack whack, you've been stuck in, go to the fights. Bring your kids. It's an enjoyable thing. Yeah. They sell beer. They sell food. They sell all that stuff. So it's nice to be able to walk around. You get to meet the fighters. I see lots of little kids getting their shirts signed and stuff by the fighters.
All that stuff. You know, Plymouth South's the one that does the food. So, you know, buying a hot dog helps the school out, the school system down here. It's a community thing. If you haven't been to Memorial Hall, everybody gets to see. You know, they're all stadium seating, beautiful views of all the fights. You know, there's really not much more to say, but come out, have fun, cheer on your favorite fighter, be loud, make posters, and you know, you make posters. We have a contest every show. If you have a great poster, we'll bring you down and upgrade your seats.
There's the 50-50 raffle, which goes to the charities.
Yep.
Somebody always hits it rich. There's always a lot of money because everybody gives it those things.
There's always a couple $100. Last time, actually, he donated it back to the charity.
A lot.
Yeah,
it happens a lot.
But it was nice because you know, this guy comes running down from the balcony all the way down, and we get him in the cage, and he's like, "Keep it." Yeah. And it was just a nice thing.
It was in the moment after he's walking away, kicking himself.
He got back upstairs, and his wife looks at him and goes, "We could have used that. Remember the boiler burster?" You know, something that you probably could have used that money, but you know, went to a good cause.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much for coming again. Cage Titans,
April 18th
at Memorial Hall in Plymouth. Folks, come on down, see a good show. Thanks for coming to another Fireside Chat with Michael Polvere and Michael the Hammer Mulligan.